Realization of the year, babe. So I was thinking about people online specifically, but I mean, obviously you can apply this to real life, but what sparked my inquiry was people online who are hateful, who leave hate comments, who are rude, who just always want to be in an argument with somebody over something stupid. Someone who's locked in, someone who has their own things to worry about, someone who's working on themselves is going to be too busy to do all of that. And is not going to have the literal time, but also the emotional time and energy to go around looking for a fight or leave a hate comment on someone's video or just a stupid comment. And then it got me thinking on a deeper level. Oh, that's just so true in life. Beyond, trolls on the internet or hate comments or whatever. That's just true for life. Somebody who's not confronting their own demons, inner work, someone who's ashamed or scared of what it is they need to face within themselves, they're going to almost manifest that into their external reality. And I don't mean that in a victim blaming way. I don't mean that in the way of, if something bad happens to you, your life's gonna be bad, or if your life is bad, it's probably because you deserve it or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you are not actively working on what it is you need to confront from your past, from your own patterns, from unhealthy behaviors, you're going to keep running into that kind of trouble. And because you're not in your own lane, focused on your own business, you're going to be in other people's lanes. It's always the most insecure people who have the most to say about somebody else. And that's literally because they don't want to face themselves. So just keep that in mind, both, in the sense of if someone's trying to come at you for a dumb reason, if someone's just being rude to you, if someone's being like a mean girl to you, if you're trying to put yourself out there and you get a hate comment. But then also keep that in mind for yourself. Like if you find yourself gossiping more than normal or just talking shit or just feeling very jealous of others or bitter, that's not you're not a bad person for feeling those things, because jealousy is a normal human emotion, feeling resentful is normal, feeling angry is normal, but it's important to have discernment and self-awareness to be able to catch yourself feeling those things, and instead of keeping them in the external, it's almost using you statements, blaming the people around you, blaming this, blaming that, you need to bring it back to yourself and look inwards and okay, what is it that makes me jealous? I don't know if you guys have ever known anyone, or if maybe you have been like this, where everything just becomes this huge dramatic, thing. Or have you had a friend, or again, maybe you've been this person, but someone who's always in a crisis, and it could be something small or something that they could take action on, but everything just becomes this huge, oh my god, they're always just having this melodramatic crisis in their life, always. And people like that, I also think, first of all, if you're peeping that, that's not a healthy friend to have, because usually that kind of person wants you to do the most for them, and they're going to resent you if you don't always step in to save them. But then also, if you're that person, it's again important to recognize that within yourself. And I think it's just often a sign of being too afraid to confront what's actually going on. And that's not to say you should keep your problems to yourself or not tell your friends about your problems or open up or share your emotions, obviously. But there's a difference between communicating in a healthy way, asking for help, reaching out to those around you, and trying to, have support from your loved ones and your community, and then the difference of that versus turning everything into this whole dramatic thing when it doesn't need to be. It's like when somebody won't stop talking shit about somebody, a friend or a frenemy that they have, and you're like, why don't you just talk to them about it? But it's oh no, I don't want to do that. They don't want to do the actual hard stuff. So self-awareness goes a long way, and then also just peeping that vibe in those around you. And I think that's really important because, again, if you're on the receiving end of somebody like that, when you're self-aware, you also take a lot less personally from others, because you realize and recognize within yourself that, hey, I'm self-aware, and I know if I was feeling angry, I would just talk to this person about it, or I would, you know how to deal with your emotions in a healthy way, and you know how to like peep them, so you recognize other people's unhealthy emotional patterns and behavior. And so you can realize it's a them problem and it's not, you know, them attacking you doesn't really have anything to do with you. Obviously, again, it's like disclaimer, but like that doesn't mean don't take responsibility when you mess up. But again, you can do that in a healthy way and someone can communicate to you that they're hurt in a healthy way. It's not about being conflict avoidant, but it's about just dealing with shit and communicating in a healthy way. And it's not so much about building tough skin, which also I hate that saying, like, oh my god, like anytime a celebrity is in an interview and it's like, well, I just have had to have really tough, like thick skin. It's like, I just imagine like the hugest callus on someone's foot and it's just like complete uggo. Like I hate that analogy. But even that analogy, it's kind of like creating, I mean, I guess it is creating distance between yourself and like something negative, but it's more so like, I don't even need to have a barrier up because I'm just not gonna like absorb it. But I guess it's just a personal preference. But like, to me, it's not just about like building up all these walls. It's just like a true recognition. Because I think when I think of it like that, I'm thinking of like, oh, I'm like ignoring it, or like I'm just gonna look the other way because if I were to look towards it, I would take it personally. Versus if you're just kind of recognizing it's somebody else's problem, you don't even necessarily have to look away. Not that you should like involve yourself, but you don't need to like build this huge structure around yourself because you just can recognize behavior for what it is. And that's also very true because like, you know how they say you can't heal in isolation? I think that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, I don't have to look the other way and to like hide from all the negativity in the world. It's like I can face it. I just don't have to involve myself or take it personally or like take anything to heart. That's what I mean. So let me know if you agree or if you just love a callous analogy. Beverage of the day check. I love a cold foam. I don't know. Are y'all still not supporting Starbucks? Like sometimes they be having their little 50% off coupons. I'm like, ooh. I honestly don't really like anything off their menu besides, this is what I get. Obviously, support local. Like, if I get a coffee, it's going to be local unless I have Dunkin' points or it's a good deal. Like, you know, that's the only reason I go to, like, a chain thing. That's how they get you. But double shot of espresso over ice with salted caramel cold foam. It's perfect. And then if it melts a little bit, it just kind of turns into a latte. But I do not like getting an iced Americano is very risky because sometimes they do not know what they're doing. I've been going to Variety Coffee a lot, which is like a local coffee roastery. Their coffee is bomb and they know how to make a good iced Americano, so I've been doing that. But yeah, I love a cold foam. I need to just learn how to make that at home. And then I also have my water in my cute new tumbler from Curator. I will put the link down below. You guys get, I think, 25% off. Their summer box is so cute. And this was like one of the highlights is this like cute gold tumbler. Not spons, but I do have an affiliate code. So if you use that code, I get a percentage. I really wanted to talk about aging because I feel like this is also something I keep seeing in different ways. So on one hand, I'm watching Desperate Housewives. I'm almost done. I wonder if by the time this goes up, I'll be finished with the series. I'm like almost done with the series. And it's very interesting to watch because they just go through so many classic, you know, life events as women, and especially as like, you know, middle-aged women with families and like, you know. So I've just been thinking a lot about, you know, life and womanhood and getting older and things like that. And then I also follow, I think I mentioned her a couple episodes ago, I follow this woman, Tamsin. I'm still not sure how to say her last name. I just need to look it up. But she makes a lot of content about aging and menopause and things like that. And then in a recent episode of The Kardashians, Kris Jenner had her uterus removed. She had a full hysterectomy. And just her talking about menopause and how people don't really talk about menopause and just all the emotions that came with having a hysterectomy. And I think there was a TikTok about it. So I was like reading the comments and just so many women related. And it was interesting also to see how many women had also had a full hysterectomy, and some felt very relieved and like best decision ever, and some had very mixed emotions, and some were really, you know, they really had to grieve like the loss, especially after they had kids. Dude, it's making me like emotional to even like talk about it. I don't know why, but it's just like, I think it's just really like life. Like, why am I talking about like having your uterus removed? And I mean, I guess it is like a touchy topic. I just started my period, so I shouldn't be like crying. Like, I'm like past that stage. I think it's just really like, for me, what gets me emotional is just the thought of like life goes so fast. Just especially as women, our bodies just change so much, and I think I'm just really starting to understand more. And I wouldn't say I personally feel it yet because I'm still young and I'm not really like, you know, let me know if you relate. Like, it's not like I feel it yet, but I'm starting to like mentally understand more just how weird it must be to get older and like how your youth escapes you, and like especially as women, so much emphasis is placed on our looks, and just to have that like fade away from you. It's like we always hear about that, and it's kind of like sometimes looked at as like a silly thing that you care about, which is also kind of like, that's kind of manipulative. Like, how are you going to tell me this is the most important thing my whole life, and then once I actually care about it and grieve it and not regret but like feel sad about not looking the same I was when I was younger, then you're gonna like shame me for it. Like, that's fucked up. Like, especially as women, just because our bodies change so much and we have such distinct chapters of life, you know, just based on what our bodies go through, it almost like means more. And that's why as a woman, your time is so valuable and you cannot waste your time. And the man, or, you know, men in your life as you go throughout your life, need to respect that. Because like, men just keep living. Like, yeah, you get older and like, yeah, your body changes, but not in the way that a woman's does. Dude, that always gets me. Like, there was this one time I was literally like 20, I think. I definitely was not 21. But it was my friend's birthday and we were at a brunch, and it was like a bunch of her family members, but like all women. Like, it was like her mom, like her aunts, there was like some just random cousin. Like, it was like a big family brunch, but like all girls. It was so fun, and like it was just so fun to, you know, be with women of so many different ages. And there was this little family sitting next to us, and it's not like a party place, but it's like a bottomless like brunch. So it's like this mom and dad over here with their son, but like the parents they're not like obviously as lit as this table of ladies, but like, you know, everyone's just like drinking their mimosas, having a good time. And we start talking to them, and the woman comes over and like, she's like, oh, to my friend, like, this is your mom, like, that's so cool. And then she starts talking about family and just like her son and like when she met her husband. And it literally, like, I was drunk, I will admit it, but I just started like full crying, like crying. It caught me by surprise again, even though I was late. Like, I just started crying. But like, people thought I was crying because like I wanted to have a family so bad, but that like wasn't it. Like, I was just, it just makes me emotional, like just like time and family history, and just like, I don't know, that just always like really gets me. Like, is it the cancer placements, you know? But they literally thought I was crying because I wanted a baby. And then the woman was like, oh, it's okay, like, you're still young, like, you have time. But I was not crying like for myself. I was just like, this is so beautiful, you know, like, oh my god, like, this is what life is all about. But like, people did not understand why I was crying. But anyway, nothing like a full cry at brunch, at a bottomless brunch, am I right? Oh my god. So anyway, what I wanted to I did not expect this to get emotional, but yeah, it was just interesting, I guess, to see all the comments, and even to hear like Kris Jenner in this episode talking about like really feeling sad about having your uterus removed. And it just kind of like puts things in perspective, I guess. And it's like, wow, like, life really changes, and like, it's just crazy as you get older how the things that are important to you change. And like, not that like you don't care about family and that kind of stuff when you're young, but it's just like, there's so many other things that you care about, and then as you get older, it's kind of like, okay, this is like what's important. And then also that ties in, like, I had to cry at an episode of Desperate Housewives because like, somebody died. One of the kids was like, oh, like, where do people go when they die? And they're like, oh, like, you know, the little moments, like when we're just like eating a burger together at like the diner, or like when we're fishing at our favorite spot, or like when we're doing this and that, like just all the little moments of life. They're like, that's like heaven, and like that, those moments are like perfection. And it was so sad, like, oh my god, like, literally had to cry. And I think also, I don't know, again, if it's like my brain being fully developed. Also, tomorrow's my birthday of when this is gonna go live, so period. Brain developed fully, gang. But this past year has just really taught me that life can really change. And when I was younger, I just felt like pretty stable overall, which is like a big blessing, you know? But it's just kind of like realizing how uncertain life can be. And like, I think also kind of that realization as you get older that like your parents don't know everything, and like your parents are still growing up too, versus like when you're a kid, it's just kind of like you think the adults in your life know everything. It's like, oh, once I'm an adult, I'm also gonna like be, and then that's what that one video was about. It's like, there's not really a point at which you're like, ah, yes, I'm an adult. Yes, I know everything. Like, you know. On that note, thoughts on as you age, I think especially as a woman, but like, I guess men do these things too. Getting cosmetic procedures or just doing things to alter your appearance to appear younger. And I asked you guys on Instagram what your thoughts were. So I just kind of wanted to like discuss. So somebody says age gracefully. I think older women who have nothing done are still so beautiful. Age gracefully. I don't want to look 20 forever. I prefer how I look at 32. Natural is timeless. Somebody says, personally, I feel bad for those that get plastic surgery, generalizing, but for the most part, it stems from insecurity based on beauty standards. And then this one girl says, I would like to age natural-ish, but I think it's fine to correct any little things you feel aren't normal. Like if I'm frowning lots or my boobs end up on the floor, I'd consider changing that. I kind of agree with all of these to an extent. I think for myself personally, and let me know if you agree, like y'all know I'm not against anything. Not anything, but like I'm not against getting work done, but like for me personally, I think it's important to think long term. So like for me, for example, I've gotten Botox because I'm thinking long term, like, okay, and people disagree with this. I think there's something to be said for it. I'm not like advocating you go get Botox, but like I have gotten Botox in my forehead and like around my eyes a little bit. And to me, that's like long-term skincare, you know, it's like long-term preventative care and like period. But like I've never gotten filler because to me, it's like, yeah, I'm sure if I really wanted to critique my face, I could be like, oh, I could like add this, I could do this, I'll tweak this. But like, I'm thinking long-term, how is that going to shift in my face? And I feel like there's too many examples of people like their filler migrating and like it looks weird as you get older. Maybe when I'm older, like 30s, 40s, I will like get some filler to restore volume to my face, but I don't really feel like that's something that I need. And like this girl was younger than me on TikTok talking about how she's gonna get a facelift. And like I have to say, I would definitely consider getting a facelift when I'm older. I've seen some amazing before and after videos. Like I would do it, but like that's another thing where you only have so much skin on your face, so you can only pull the skin back so many times. So if you're getting a facelift at like 22, I literally think that girl was like 22 or 23. It's like, what are you gonna do when you're 32, 33, 42, 43, 50? Like, you know, I want to look natural, but I want to look good, you know? Like, I don't want to look insane. But then my thoughts on that could also change, because again, I'm still like young. But I know I love Botox. Like, but honestly, in LA, like, now looking back, it's like, that was too much. Like, I don't know. That was the only place I'd ever gone to. Now, I feel like it looks a lot more natural. Like, my eyebrows were looking a little crazy back then. Like, it was kind of odd. But anyway, I just think it's honestly what you're comfortable with, because if you really want to go against beauty standards, like, go off, like, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. And I do think there's a lot of examples where people go overboard and look crazy, and they don't look like themselves, or look not even like natural, but just normal. Like, you can just tell, you look at them and you think filler. You don't think like they look beautiful, they look good. You just think filler, like lip filler, you know? And I'm not judging you if you do that, but it's like, I'm just personally, again, thinking long term, how is that gonna make my face look? And I feel like often filler can like age you, so don't get it too young. Like, I love Botox though, again. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah, a lot of people do go too far, and they do have that blindness, and it's like, babes, it's one thing to have like an eyebrow blindness, but like to have a surgery blindness, it's like that at a point gets risky for your health and like your body, you know? It's like, oh my god. I just think it's really weird, especially on TikTok, and again, all those comments on that video I made where people were like, but 25 is old. It's like, I just feel, and again, I do not think 25, 26 is old. I don't. Maybe if you're 16, that's old. Okay, that should be old too if you're underage. But like in the scheme of life, that's very, very young. Like you've only been a legal adult for like a few years, you know? Or like, you know, 21, like drinking age. I think a really good example, there's like, you know those little New York bros that will go around like interviewing people on the street? They're like obviously, I don't think they're in high school, but they're definitely like a young Gen Z, like younger than me, you know? One of them did an interview, like a street interview with Dave East, and Dave East is 35. And people were calling him like, oh, like an unk in the comments. Just like, I mean, I guess compared to this like 20-year-old little bro, like, yeah, but it's like, I don't know why that example just stood out to me so much, but it was just such a like difference in the generations. And you have this like young interviewer bro who's like kind of almost like hyper and like just so excited to be able to talk to Dave East, and then Dave East is like smoking, like chilling. And not obviously that I like personally related to this example because I'm not a bro, but it's just like, yeah, when you get older, you're wiser, you're like calmer, hopefully, you know, you're just like more chill. And I just know in a man, that's what I want. You know, it really just, I think also depends on the person, because I told y'all, like, I went on a date with a guy that was like 50 and like he acted like the first bro in that video. Like low-key, like kind of had that like just not calm, chill energy. And like I'm not trying to say Dave East is like the perfect example of that, but it was just like in that specific example, the age difference was so obvious and like noticeable, you know. It was like funny. But it's like, yeah, like, do y'all not get excited to get old? Like, and I'm not trying to like rush. It's not like I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to be like 40. But it's like, I think if you're really, really actually dreading getting older, you need some better examples in your life. Like, and just go on TikTok. Like I just saw this video this morning. There's these like two ladies who they're like both teachers, I think I don't know if it's in Jersey or New York, but they make like teacher lunch videos, and now it's summer, so they're doing like, oh, teacher lunch during the summer. And like one of them is in Italy with her husband, and they're like at this nice restaurant. She's like, guys, like, I don't know if we should get a bottle or like a glass. And it was just so cute. And I'm like, this is what getting older is about. It's like being chic, having a good time, like, and I don't know if it's just like oldest sibling things. Maybe it's some childhood trauma, I don't know, or like having to grow up too fast. Let me know if you relate, but I just all throughout high school always felt a little bit too old for everything, in the sense of like prom just kind of felt silly to me. Like a lot of things just felt like school spirit week. I just always was kind of like, and now sometimes like looking back, I'm like, damn, I should have like enjoyed those years, and like you only get that once. Like I should have like been more involved in school. But then it's like, I guess, like, what about the people that were involved with school? Like, no offense, but a lot of them are still like living in our hometown, getting married, and it's like now, or already are married, or on their like third child, and it's like, I just wouldn't have wanted that, you know. And I'm not saying if I'd been more involved at school, like that's the path I would have had to take, but it's just like everyone's different. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way, but I just know for myself that's not what I wanted. So I guess with that being said, like I have really enjoyed, you know, getting older. I enjoy things that you can do as you get older. Like when I think of being young and like going on a date or something, it's like, maybe if a bro has a car, that'll be like the most exciting thing, and then you're just gonna like drive around and like go to a parking lot, and like he's gonna smoke, or like we'll get maybe like fast food, like, you know. Or like I will say the most teen thing I would do is like we would just go to a lot of beaches, and like people would smoke. I see getting older as like gaining more knowledge, being chicer, just getting access to like better places and better experiences, and just putting up with less bullshit. And I've heard from a lot of women that is what it's all about. And especially after menopause, a lot of women talk about how freeing it is to just not have to care about so many things that they cared about their entire life. And you can truly live for yourself and don't have to care about anyone else's opinion. And so, again, I think it's very important to have healthy role models, especially if you're a woman, like healthy female role models who can give you a little glimpse into what life could be like as you get older. Because if you're only going based on, you know, your family members or whatever, it's like, if you have, like, I'm not trying to talk shit about anyone's family, obviously I don't know you, but a lot of people will, whether it's consciously through pressure from their parents and family, or just subconsciously through, you know, continuing a generational cycle, a lot of people will just live in what their parents did, what their grandparents did, and they'll just keep reliving the same cycles. So it's like, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can break the cycle. You can find role models and just people who can at least give you a different example of what life could be like, especially as you get older. It's important to diversify. It's important to have different ideas just to let you know what's out there and that there are many paths you can take. And that's, I think, part of why I never even considered, you know, staying in my hometown and just kind of like finding someone and like getting married. Like, I just knew there was more out there for me. I just always want to experience life and see what's out there, and you know, and I don't mean that like, I mean, it's like, I'm not like so adventurous. Like, I love staying at home and like having my little routine, you know, but like in general, it's like, I'm very fascinated by different ways of life. And it's like, how is this person doing things? Like, what's out there? Because there's just so much out there. And I'm not saying your entire life should be like this huge, I don't want to say adventure, but like a voyage. But it's like, when you do explore different options, even if it's just having some different role models on Instagram or TikTok, and, you know, watching someone's little videos and like seeing like, oh, this could be me in 20 years. Like, I could be at this chic place, whether it's by myself or with a group of girlfriends. Like, there was a group of old women like going on like a girls trip. It was so cute. They were all like in their 40s and 50s. They were definitely like 50s. 60s maybe. Society in general has given us these very strict views of, you know, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a man. This is like, and like the classic example of like, you don't want to be an old maid, as if like, if you don't get married by this age and have kids, like, you're just gonna like live alone in a shack and like be a witch and everyone's gonna be scared of you. You're gonna be a complete uggo. It's like, no, you could be going on this girls trip when you're 60, having a blast, doing whatever you want. And I'm not saying that is like the best option, especially for everyone, but it's like, it's just cool to see like, oh, I could do that. I could do this. Be at a chic place with my husband. You know, I could have 5 kids. I could have 1 kid. I don't have to have any kids. I could have like a little teacup Pomeranian that I bring. Like, you know? Because again, if you are only going based on what you grew up with in your own community, in your own family, again, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I think it's just important, if you are having like, I don't know, just kind of like fear of the future, of your future, or like something doesn't feel right. Like, I don't feel like I should get married by this age. I still feel like there's more I need to explore. I feel like I want to learn more. I should go back to school, like this, that. And just because no one that you personally know has done it doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, you can really be a cycle breaker. You can be the chic one, like, you know. So I just think that's really important to keep in mind. And I will say, this is a big positive of social media, is like, you can be exposed to many different ways of life, and it can be a like jumping point to maybe a travel, maybe a investigation of a new career, or just a different life path, because your options are really unlimited, you know. And I don't think aging is something we need to be afraid of. But with that being said, I think it also is important to keep in mind that we don't take our time for granted. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm still young. I'm a live life to the fullest, you know? Like, oh my God, I'll never be this age doing this again. Like, let me enjoy it fully. And I think that is like a really important key to a fulfilling life. So that is going to be it for this week's episode. I think it's really funny also that I decided to talk about this like on my birthday week, because this was like pre-planned, you know? So thank you so much for listening. I'm actually about to go see my sister, so I'm so excited, you know, on that family note. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know what you want me to talk about next week, and I will talk to you guys then. Bye, everyone.